Hi friends, it's Bonnie here again with the second of 3 videos that I'm making on exercising with osteoporosis. The first one was sitting in a chair, working a lot with upper body and using the chair then to work on balance and strengthening the abductors. In this second video, we're going to emphasize impact or setting up kind of vibrations in the body that will help stimulate your bones to build more bone cells and to keep them at least from getting weaker and losing more density. Okay, before we start, just remember that we're talking all the time when we're doing these moves of keeping a very good posture. If you start to do this, then you're not getting half as much out of it as if you have a nice wide collarbone and you're standing upright with all of your postural muscles engaged. So let's start out. If you're not a runner, a jogger, things of that nature, but you do want to get some kind of impact on your legs, on your hips in particular, some on your spine, what can you do? Well, the easiest thing that I know of is to do heel drops. Okay, so I'm going to stand back so you can see as much of my feet as possible. And heel drops are, as you suggest, you lift up as high as you can on your toes and you drop your heels. But you do it fast. You go. And you'll find out as you do this, you feel this all the way up your spine, sets up a certain tingling of vibration in your spine. Let's do 50. Still going, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now you're going to change it into a prance. So with your feet together, you're going to lift one heel and drop the other. But you're going to do it fast. It's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, pelvic floor engaged, tummy tucked, lifting the chest, collarbone wide, and stop. Now lift your leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift up and hold and check out your balance. Put the leg down. Let's start from the beginning. Heel drops. 10. Feel that your head is kind of going to fall off your body. Sometimes I feel it like that. 30. Keep it going. Those heels are coming high, they're dropping hard. We have 10 more. Stop and start prancing. Bending one knee, lifting the opposite heel. And you're just going to really keep going. Make it fast. Remember, you're not trying to go level change. It's keeping the hips pretty level and just getting the impact on the joints. Up to about 25 now. Keep breathing. You should be breathing a little heavier. Let's do 10 more. Stop and lift up one leg and the other, and the first, and the second, and the first, and the second, and the first, and second. More. Remember, your pelvis is not tucking under when you're lifting your leg. You're keeping your back straight. I've admittedly lost count. Let's do 2 more. Now you should be starting to feel something here. Let's do one more set. 50. Heel drops. Oh, my head. Stop and prance. Don't forget to really lift those heels, really bend the knees, and try to keep your hips as level as possible. Take it all in the legs and make sure you're hitting hard on the ground so that you set up that little vibration, a thrust up to your joints, into your bones. Keep going. Let's do 10 more. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop. Lift one leg and the other. Lift one leg and the other. Lift one and the other. And the first and the second. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. 2 more. Hold the right leg up. Check your balance. Drop your right hip. Keep it, make sure that it's not just off the ground, but the knee is pointing straight forward. And then lift your left, and your right, and your left, and your right. Now the second leg is going to lift up and hold, dropping that hip, keeping the knee high, and just check your balance. Keep reaching up through the crown of your head, and put the leg down. Good. I'm going to pick up 2 weighted balls. You don't have to use weights. If you do use weights, I recommend 1 pound, 2 pounds, or 3 pounds, nothing much more than that. Probably if you have osteoporosis, you don't want a lot more than that, but in case you did, you could use more, but I don't recommend it. Okay, so we have the balls in our hands, and if you don't want to use weights, don't. If you don't have weights, use 2 cans of soups, 2 cans of beans, or 2 water bottles. They work really well. We'll do just a few little arm exercises, then we'll do some lower body exercises, then we'll put them together. So the first one is simply a straight arm front raise, okay? So with the palms facing back, shoulders down your back, tummy lifted, pelvic floor engaged. You're going to lift up to about shoulder height and lower down. Now notice I'm going at the same velocity up and down. Now gravity, would make you want to go down fast, but you're going to resist that. Gravity itself is offering resistance here. We just have 2 more. You don't want to go much above your shoulder. 1 more. Okay, second move. You're going to bring your arms out, turn your palms in, and bend. Elbows go behind the body, and it's kind of a low row feel. Okay, so you're pulling and reaching, and pulling and reaching. As you pull, you want to feel the shoulder blades squeeze toward the spine on your back, strengthening those rhomboids between the shoulder blades, and opening up the collarbone. We'll do 3 more. 3, 2, and 1. Good. Third move, you're going to bring your arms up to shoulder height to begin with. Palms can be down. You're going to open up. This is horizontal abduction, and this is horizontal adduction. Abduction and adduction coming in. Open up. Now you could feel your shoulder blades just flat against your spine here, or you could feel a little squeeze between those shoulder blades. Whichever you like is good by me. Notice that the balls are not dropping. nor are they lifting. They're going out on a plane as if they're going across on a shelf. And we'll do 2 more. Open and close, and open and close. Drop your arms. Starting from the same position, we did a low row last time. Let's do a high row this time. The arms are straight in front. You pull in. The weights or the wrists come to just about your armpits. Your elbows are high and they're squeezing towards the back wall. You're going out and in. From the side, it looks like this. Again, you can squeeze those shoulder blades, or you can keep them just flat on your back. When your arms straighten, you don't want the shoulder blades to go further away from the spine. You want to keep them close to the spine. And let's do 3 more. 3 and 2 and 1. Okay? 4 upper body exercises. You can do them standing just the way we did them. You'll get a lot out of them. If you put the weights down for a second, now let's go into some lower body exercises. I'm a big fan of a squat. Now the squat and the lunges that we are going to do depend a lot about your understanding of a hinge versus a flexion. Okay, so a squat involves a flexion at the hips, a flexion at the knees. It involves no rounding of the spine. So when you go down in a squat, you want to keep your back as straight as possible. You may have to lean forward, but you keep your chest lifted. When you do a lunge, so many people do a lunge and lean forward and kind of straighten out the back leg, whereas I'm just wound up on my weighted ball. When you do a lunge, you want to think about your shoulders staying right on top of your hip, your back straight. You're going to step a big step back, bend both of your knees to go down, come straight up, a perfect vertical line, and step forward. Second leg goes back in that big step. You're going to go down, come back up, and step forward. Ideally, when you go down, you can have both legs at right angles at the knee joint. Okay, so let's do a set of squats and a set of lunges. Let's do 6 straight back squats and then 6 alternating lunges, right leg and left leg, and then 6 straight back squats and then alternate again. Then we will pick up our weighted balls and add the arm movements to these movements of the lower body. Okay, so I'll do it in profile because I think it's easier to see and understand. Okay, you're going to be nice and straight to begin with. And then as you bend your knees, pull your hips way back as if you're sitting in a chair. Keep your chest lifted and squat. Remember, the back stays straight so that if I had a yardstick from the back of my head down to my tailbone, it would stay glued to the sacrum and to the back of the head. We're going to do 1 more here. Good. All right, we're going to step back with the right, way back. Bend both knees, straighten, step up. Step back with the left, step up. And it's right and left. Now, I just smoothed it out. If you like to step and go down, you can. I like to kind of make it one move and do 1 more on either side. Stop. Great. Okay, so let's see if we can put the set of squats and lunges along with the arm movements. Okay, we have 2 weighted balls, right? Remember, it can be 2 cans of soups. It can be 2 water bottles. All right, so I'm going to do it from the front to begin with, and then I'll turn to the side about halfway through so you can see. So let's here do 6 squats with straight arm lifts to the shoulders as we do it. Kneecaps are pointing forward, toes are pointing forward. The heels are lined up with the middle of your buttocks where your sits bones are. Let's go. We're going to squat and lift and stand. Sit back in that chair. From the side. Now we're going to do alternating lunges. Reach your arms forward. They don't have to be high. As you bring your right leg back, you're going to pull those arms back in a low row. If you have your weights facing one another and your palms facing in, you'll find it very satisfactory. One more on either side. Let's go back to the squats, but change the arms. Instead of lifting the arms in the front, we're going to do the squats and open the arms and close them. Open the arms and close them. Same principles apply, but you might feel a little squeeze between the shoulder blades. One more. Now, as we do the alternating lunges, we're going to do the high row rather than the low row. Starting on the left this time, and come back. Exhale and inhale. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. One more on either side. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, and go down. When you're using a weight of any kind, if you want to strengthen your wrist, be careful. I'll put the wrist in profile, that you don't have your wrist hanging like that holding the weight, and you don't have it cocked up like that, but that across the joint of the wrist, everything is straight. So for example, if you want to lift up in the front, see how straight that wrist is? Whereas a lot of times I see people doing this, or I see people doing that. The same thing is true with these high rows. I wonder if you can, I see this so much on people, and yet they should be nice straight wrists as you pull back. So this is not a trivial point. If you want strong wrists, you have to treat them correctly and teach them the position that they should be in to become strong. Let's put the weighted balls down for a second and go back to a couple of other ideas on how you can get some impact into your body without doing anything too vigorous outside. Okay, one of them that I kind of like is to start at one end of your mat and take tiny little steps to the other end of your mat. Maybe 10 steps. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 2, 3. Now I'm hitting my heel pretty hard, so it's toe ball heel when you land. Okay, so it's not flat foot landing. You land on the toes and then on the ball of the foot, and then on the heels. And over again. Tummy muscles engaged, pelvic floor lifted, and you're running to the side. So since we're going sideways, we're working those abductors again. Never lose an opportunity. This way. And that way. Come back to the center. Keep a little bend in your knees. Put your hands on your hips. Lift your chest. And we're going to do something which is called grape stomping. So imagine you are in a big vat of grapes, and it's you and you alone that's got to crush those grapes for the harvest. Okay, so keep your knees bent. One leg only starts turning out and hitting the ground hard and stomping on those grapes in every imaginable place. And stomping and stomping. And just make it medial and lateral. Turn the knee in, turn the knee out. It's not just a circle, you gotta get everything in between too. And you can keep this up for a very long time, and oh my goodness, your hips and your spine is feeling this vibration as you're doing it on one side. And it's kind of cool. But you don't have to move, you don't need a lot of space. You can just do it and get that challenge to the bone. Stop, move over to one side of your mat. We're going back and forth in 10 steps again. And other way. To the first side. The Don't be too delicate about this. We want to slam those heels in. Keep those knees bent. You should be starting to get a little breathless. Not horribly breathless, but you should be feeling that your heart rate is coming up. That's the point. But you're also feeling your hips. Now your knees are pointing forward the whole time. This is not great stomping. Your toes are forward the whole time. So we really use our abductors. If you turned your toes out when you're doing this, you'd be using your quads. You can do one more in either way. And come back to the center. And stop. Hands on hips, knees bent. Left leg is going to work. It's going to turn out and start stomping those grapes. Okay? The hips are not particularly bouncing. If they're bouncing, they're taking away the vibration. You want them to feel the vibration and feel the challenge. Remember, you're going on the circumference of the circle. You're going inside the circle. You're turning your knee out. You're turning your knee in a super random pattern. But the random pattern has to crush every single grape in the back, or else you're not going to get good wine this year. And who doesn't want good wine in a harvest in California? Keep going. You want to go until this leg, the standing supporting leg, is really feeling tired, and the other leg is really giving you lots of balance. If all of a sudden you're not feeling the vibration, you're not trying hard enough. You got to really slam those heels and foot down, toe hill, constantly. And it's fast. Hips are staying pretty steady. They're not turning with you. And stop. Good. Okay. So let's do some arm and leg work again. I'm a big fan of working our inner thighs since we're working our outer thighs so much, and using pliés to do that. So if you open your legs nice and wide, toes pointing out, your kneecap pointing through the second and third toe, and make sure your legs are fairly wide so that when you bend your knees, the knees themselves do not go wider than your toes. I'm going to go a little wider myself. And you're about parallel to the ground with your thighs. And then you're going to stand up. Now notice I'm not curving in with the back. I'm not leaning forward. It's as if I'm going down a straight wall. I could actually go put my back against a wall to check myself and lean my shoulder blades back slightly as you go down. And up, and down, and up. You keep widening your knees as you go down rather than letting them come together. And let's do maybe 4 more here. We have 2 more. And 1 more. Excellent. Okay, that's great. Now let's just heel-toe your feet together or walk them together. And I'm going to get weights again. Just 2 arm movements this time. Okay, so again, trying to hold your wrists nice and straight. Maybe palms facing the thighs. Keep the weights together. Lift your elbows wide and then lower. Those weights, the wrists are not coming above the level of the elbows, which are at the level of your shoulder. The weights or your hands are very close to your chest. This is a very narrow lift. Let's do just a few more. And 1 more. Good. That's our movement number 1. Our movement number 2 is a raise, but instead of a front raise the way we did before, we'll do a lateral raise and lower down. Inhale, you feel the resistance of gravity pushing down as you bring up. Now make the resistance going down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. You lift as if the arms were floating and elongating. As you lower down, think about you have kind of a squishy marshmallow that you've got to push in on the way down. Let's do 4 more. Notice I'm really controlling the lowering. We've got 2 more. Notice my back stays straight, my chest stays lifted. And bring it down. We're going to widen the legs, turn the toes out, and put these arm movements together with our wide second position plie. Remember, your back is straight, you're not leaning forward, the hips are not leaning back. Let's do 6 to begin with in the front with the weights together or your hands together. Your elbows are going to go wide and come back. Good. Exhale as you plie and lift. Inhale as you go down. Let's do 4 more. I know I said 6, but I think 8 is better. Got 2 more. Take a glance at your knees. Make sure they're not going over your toes. Good. Stop here. Now as you go down, this time it's a lateral lift and a lowering. A lateral lift and a lowering. See if every time you go down, you can challenge yourself to go down just a little bit more. We've got 2 more. Now just when you think it's over, let's alternate those arm movements as we continue the leg movements. So you lift in front, and then straight arm lift to the sides. You pull it in close to your chest, lift your elbows and your wrists, and now wide apart. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. We have 4 more. 3. We have 2 more. 2. And 1 more. Good. I want you to keep your legs wide and turn your toes forward. Keep your toes forward and your legs wide. Keep your back straight. You can bend your knees if you need to. And I'd like you to dramatically hinge forward from the hip crease here. Okay, not from the waist. It's lower where the leg meets the pelvis, and hang your hands down. Look at a spot maybe 3 feet in front of you on the floor. Try not to have your head hang. And then you're going to lift your arms out wide and lower them. We're talking about upper back here again and lower. The same kind of resistance on the way down that we had before. Exhale and inhale. We're going to do 4 more. I really have to engage my abdominals upward toward my backbone, because my backbone is above it, and also upward toward my sternum. And we have 1 more. When we up here at the last one, let's pulse it upward for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower your arms, let your weights drop. Hopefully no thuds have happened. Open your arms. You're going to bend one knee and stretch it, the opposite leg. And then you're going to go to the other side. Now notice I'm not turning my torso. I'm flexing one hip and one knee, straightening the other. And first side. I'm trying to keep my back parallel to the floor, my head in line with the upper back. And let's do 3 and 4 and 5. Now you're going to stop on one side and keep your back straight, keep your arms reaching. Shift your weight more heavily onto the bent leg and lift the straight leg off the floor and lower it. 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. Toes are pointing forward. 7 and 8. 2 more. 9 and 10. Widen your legs. Keep the toes forward. And let's go to the first side and the second side. The first side, the second side, the first side, the second side. the first side, the second side. We have 4 more shifts. This is a hip shift. Notice that I'm trying to keep my hips pretty steady and level rather than coming up and down. Going over to the first side and holding. Keep those arms lifted, the shoulder blades squeezing. More weight goes on the bent leg hip. And you're lifting and lifting and lifting and lifting and lifting. It's 5 and 4 and 3. 2 more. Abductors. 1 more. And stand straight up. Good. Let's do 1 more, just for good measure. Okay? So if we have our arms out and we lunge to the side, toes are going to maybe turn out a little bit, not too much. As we go over, the trailing leg will stay straight, the leading leg's knees will bend, and we're going to do a side lunge. Now we're going to take the moving leg and we're going to go in the back and we'll do a curtsy. It's a side lunge and a curtsy. Notice my back is straight. Could you do this with weighted balls? Absolutely. It's always the left arm, but the right leg is moving. We're changing arms as we do the 2 moves. Right leg, left arm, right leg, right arm. Right leg, left arm, right leg, right arm, and stop. So if you had weights, I'll pick up my weights for a second. It's the same deal, okay? So it's an undercut movement with the arm in both directions. You're going to start with your arms wide, step out with your left leg, the right leg, the arm undercuts. Then you're going to step back and the left arm. It's the right arm and the left arm. And the right arm, feel your hips. And the left arm, keep your back straight and your chest lifted. And we have 4 more. 4 and 3 and 2. Just 1 more. Come up, do a shoulder roll. Again, let the weights drop for a second or put them down. And let's just elongate at the end, all right? So I'll do it in profile. Your tailbone is pointing down, your navel is slightly pulling up. Your chest is lifted, your collarbone is wide. You're going to lift your arms up, hopefully next to your ears. Reach your fingertips to the ceiling. Allow the shoulder blades to lift, then lower them. You do not want your thighs forward and your belly forward. You want to be a straight line. And you're going to elongate, elongate, elongate. Lengthen one side, lengthen the other side. As you lengthen this side, the same side heel digs into the mat. Lengthen the first, lengthen the second, lengthen the first, lengthen the second, 1 more on either side. First and second, bring your arms down. I hope I've given you some ideas of how to get some cardio work in and challenge your hips and your arms and your joints in general, standing, which is totally safe if you have osteoporosis. So this is the end of video number 2 of this 3-video series in exercising with osteoporosis. I'm going to change my camera angle, and I'll be back in a second, and we'll be down on the mat to show you some floor exercises that are really good abdominal and back strengthening exercises that do not involve any flexion whatsoever. Meet you back on the mat.